Hello everyone, welcome back to another session of Web Technologies. In today's class, I'm going to show you an experiment, lab experiment. And so just take a look at this particular lab experiment. So which says that install a database, either MySQL or Oracle. In my previous video, I already have shown you how to install MySQL. So please follow that video. It is there in the WT playlist. And also I'll give the link to this particular video in the description. So the next thing that I have done after creating MySQL database is that I created a table which should contain at least, okay, so the name, password, email and phone number, but I have created a table for the name and password only. So in today's video, I'm going to update my table. I'm going to alter my table by adding two more columns. The first one is the email ID and the phone number. Okay, fine. And so then these should hold the data from the registration form. So there is a registration form, so which is there in week 1 and week 2 combined together. There is a registration form over there. I'll show you that registration form. And from the registration, in the registration form, you are having the name. The user need to enter the name, password, email, phone number, and also the user have to enter the date of birth and the gender of the user and then the address. And finally, there will be a submit button. On clicking the submit button, what should happen is the name, password, email, and phone number should enter into the database. Okay, so that it should successfully register in the database. So that is the experiment for today. And so I have already shown you how to make the JDBC connectivity. So I made the connection between the Java application and MySQL database, and I showed you all the 5 execution, all the steps needed for executing that program. And I have written a servlet to connect to the database and extract the data from the table. So the data that I have extracted is the name and the password from the table, and I compared it across the name and the password that the user have given in the login page. And if the name and password in the database matched with the name and the password that the user have given in the login page, then I said the user is a valid user. I authenticated the user. Else I said that your username and password are wrong. Okay, so this is what user authentication or username password validation we have done in the previous program. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show the registration page to the user, and upon filling the information like name, password, email, phone number, etc. from the registration page, I'm going to take it and insert it into the database. Fine. So this is the problem statement. I hope everybody understood the problem statement. Now, in my previous video, I have created this table. Okay, so wherein there is username and the password. So I'm going to add two more columns over here. The first is the email and the second one is the phone. As I add this particular two columns, what will happen is there will be null over here. So what I'll do is I'll again use update SQL query to give some values to this particular 4 users that are already there. And then I will show you my registration form, and I'll show you the servlet, and I'll explain you the code in detail. So let us get started. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to open my SQL command line client, and I am going to show you how I inserted these two extra columns in it. So let us get started. So this is my desktop. I'm going to the search option, and then I'm going to type my SQL command line client. So I just need to give the password. So after giving the password, so this is my command line client. So in here, what I'll do is I'll change the database. So I'll say use, and I have given user DB as the database. So now you can see database changed, and now I will be inserting two more columns. And the command that I'll be using is alter table. And what is the table name? The table name is user. And then I need to say add. And then I want the columns to be email and the type of email to be varchar. Okay, so the type of email to be varchar. and then the size of this particular email, so I'm giving it to be 20, and then I want one more column, so which is phone, so I'm saying this varchar is equal to, generally phone numbers are 10 digits, so I'm giving 10. Okay, so this is the command that I'll be using to create the columns. After creating these columns, what I'll do is I will use the update command. So what I'll do is I'll say update user, and then I'll say set email is equal to, so what is the email that you want to give. So say for example for Kittu, I'm saying Kittu at hmail.com, and then I'm giving a comma, and then you have to say phone is equal to, so what are the phone numbers, give the phone numbers. So the phone number is like, say for example, I have given a phone number here. Okay, so and then the single quotes, and then I'm saying where username is equal to, so this is where I'm updating the existing users details, because these are the newly added columns. So the for the existing users there will be null in email and uh, phone. Okay, so that's why I'm updating them. So where username is equal to, so the username is Kittu, right? So I already have shown you 4 users. So this is how I'm going to update it. Okay. Um, so I'll be updating it. So this is the query, friends. So I'll be using this update query to update all the users. Let me show you after updation. So I have successfully updated. To check it, I am using the command which is select, okay, star from. Okay, so what's the name of the table? The name of the table is user. So I'm saying select star from user. So you can see, friends, like earlier there was only username and password. Now you can see email and phone is also added. And I have used the update query command to actually do the manipulation. So this is our table with only 4 entries. I want all of you to take a very good look at the entries over here. So it is Kittu, Seenu, Sudha and Tim, because I'll be making new entries into the registration form. And again, I'll show you this table where the entry will come and add over here. So this is what I'm going to do over here. So let me show you my registration form. So this is my week 9 experiment folder. So inside this particular folder, you can see there are a lot of HTML documents, and also you can see some images. Okay, so this is an image of C textbook. So this is the image of ECE textbook and all that. So these images are the textbook images. And then you can see that there are so many HTML documents which are interrelated together. So coming to my welcome file, so my welcome file is home.html. So you can see home.html here. Let me just show you the static application first, and then we'll add the servlet to it. So let me click on this particular home.html. So this is how my page looks like. Okay. So it is this is week 1 and week 2 experiment where we need to create this kind of page for the online bookstore. So I named it as Thoughts Bookstore, and this is the image of this particular bookstore, and these are all the hyperlinks. Okay, so the home is the welcome page. So this is what is the description of the website. So then you are having this CSC. As I click on this particular CSC, all the books that are related to the CSC will be shown over here, and you can see there is a submit button here. Okay, and then related to IT, so you can see all the books related to the IT. And here in ECE, you can see all the books related to the ECE. And as I click on the login page, so you can see that this login page will open for you, where I need to give the login and password and click on submit. So only after login, the user is permitted to proceed with the shopping procedure. And the login page will open only after login page will open for the existing users. For the new users, they have to register and then come and log in. Now coming to the registration page, so this is what is my registration page. So you can see that there is name, password, email, phone number, and these four are the things that we require. We need to put it in the database, and then gender, and then date of birth, languages known, address, and finally you have a submit and reset. So this is there in the registration page. Now our task is only inside this registration page. So as the user enters this name, password, email, and phone number, so upon clicking on the submit button, we need to enter it into the database. Okay, so that is the task. So let me show you the other options as well. So this is the catalog. The catalog will hold all the books. Okay, so all the books that are available in this particular online store, everything will be there. So you can see all the books from CSE, IT, ECE, everything will be here. If you want specific books, then you need to click on CSE, IT, and ECE. Okay, now coming to the cart, as the user clicks on the submit over here, add to cart button over here. So say I want this ANSYS book, then I'll be clicking on this add to cart. As I click on this add to cart, then it will come and add over here the book name, price, and the quantity, the number of the rupees, the amount in rupees, and then quantity, and quantity you need to enter manually in this particular cart, and it will calculate the total amount and show you. Okay, so this is the bookstore application. So let me show you each and every page quickly, so that in case if you want to develop, you will be having the code. So let me open this week 9 and show you the forms quickly. Okay, so the code of the form quickly. So I'm opening this um, home.html. Okay, so this is the code for the home.html. Okay, so wherein I have created the frames, 3 frames, top, left, and right. Okay, fine. So this is home. So let me show you the login. Okay, so this is login.html. So wherein we have seen the username, password, and the submit and reset button. So this is login.html. Okay, so let me show you the registration.html. So this is our registration.html page. So wherein we have created a form. One very important thing that you need to note in this particular registration form is, see, I have said action is equal to dot slash, I said register servlet. So this is the servlet I want to divert upon submit. Okay, so when the user clicks on submit in the registration form, I want it to divert, or I want the register servlet to take control. Okay, so that is one thing I have done here. And the method that we have used is the post method. So in the servlet, I have used the do post method. And another modification I did is that, so here in the input type is equal to text, and for password and for the email and phone, I have added this attribute which is called as required attribute. When I add this required attribute, what will happen is, if you try to submit without filling in this username, it will say that this is mandatory. Okay, so when you want to make certain fields to be mandatory, you can actually use this required field. So these four are important for us to enter into the database. Else what will happen is, there will be like no proper information in the database. So we don't want partial data to enter into the database. I want the database to get all the full information. So that's the reason why I have used the required field here, especially for the username, password, email, and then for the phone. Okay, so these are all the things I have done. Okay, so this is the code. Okay, so this is the entire registration form. Okay, so fine. So then what else I have? I have shown you home, login, registration. Let me show you the description. Okay, so description .html. So inside the description, I just have written something in the center, like open your door to the world of books. Okay, so upon clicking on my welcome page, This is what is going to display in the center. Okay, right. So then let me show you the department's code. So this is the department's code. So you can see this is like the frame at the left side. So you have this CSE, IT and ECE, right? So these are all the things that are displayed on the left side. So as you click on the CSE, so I want cat underscore category or the catalog underscore CSE dot HTML to open. And as you click on IT, I want cat underscore IT dot HTML to open. And if the user is clicking on ECE, I want the catalog for the ECE to open. So this is the description that I have written dot HTML. So let me show you the catalog dot HTML. So this is the catalog dot HTML. So you can see that I have given the source image, okay, so which is c.jpg, wherein c.jpg is found in the same folder. I have put it in the same folder, so that's why I don't need to give the entire path. Giving the name of the image will be enough. Okay, so I have given all the books over here. So I have created a table and so that it looks neat for us. So inside the table I have arranged all the data like this. Okay, right. So this is my catalog.html. Fine. And also I have given the submit button over here and I added the style background color is yellow and all that. Okay, so I have given some styling to the button as well so that it looks more real. Okay, so then coming to these three things which are cat underscore CSE is nothing but the catalog for the CSE. Okay, so I have just kept two books over here created in the table. Okay, fine. So this is the subset of your catalog.html. And then coming to the ECE, so this is again the subset of your catalog.html where I just have put two books in the table rows. Okay, fine. This is catalog.html for the IT books. Okay, so these are the two books that I have kept, which is again the subset of your catalog.html. Okay, so what else I need to show? I need to show you the cart. Okay, so this is the cart wherein JavaScript is used to do all the calculations. Okay, so finally we need to give the total amount and all that. So JavaScript is used over here to do that calculations. So this is the cart.html. Fine friends, I showed you all the HTML documents. So let me show you the folder completely. So this is the folder. Okay, so this is week 9 folder. So inside this folder, you can see all the HTML documents that are needed and also the images that are required inside this HTML document. Along with this data, I have web-inf folder. So inside this web-inf folder, I have web.xml file. So let me show you what is there in web.xml. So the mapping of the servlets to the HTML document is made in this web.xml. So we already know that it starts with the web-app and then it closes with the closing tag of web app and all that. So then you have the servlet and then inside the servlet tag you have subtags like servlet name and servlet class with their associated closing servlet name and servlet class closing one. So this is the name of the servlet and the name of the class also is register servlet dot class. So I have put over here and then the name of the servlet is register servlet and then this is the URL pattern that I mentioned in the form in the registration form. So I said in the form there is an action attribute wherein I said action is equal to /register servlet. So the same pattern I need to give it over here in the URL pattern. And then this is my welcome file. So wherein I'm saying it is home.html. So this is my web.xml. So next I have one more folder which is classes folder. So this is my register servlet. Okay, so let me open this and explain you in detail. Okay. So the first thing that I require is to import the packages. So the first import is like IO packages, because this is going to have some input from other sources and giving the output to the other sources. Here the other sources is the database. The Java program is sending data. It is writing something onto the database. So this is what is input and output stream. So that's the reason why we require the java.io.star, and then we require the util package, and then we also require the javax.servlet. So this is how you create the servlet, creating HTTP servlet and all that. We require these two packages. And then I also require one more package, which is java.sql.star. So wherein in this particular package, I have the interfaces and classes associated with creating a database connection. So like connection and driver manager class. And then also this program servlet, while making connection with the database, it can throw SQL exception. So all these kind of interfaces and classes are there in java.sql API. So that's the reason why I have imported java.sql.star. So you can also do them individually like this, like wherein I said java.sql.connection and all that. So rather than doing it, I can do it in a single statement by using the star. Uh, so you can prefer any of these particular methods. Next is, like I said, public class, and the name of the servlet is register servlet, which extends HTTP servlet. And since in the form I mentioned the method is equal to post, here I need to override the do post method to write my business logic. So this do post method is taking HTTP servlet request object and HTTP servlet response object, which are responsible for getting the request from the client and giving the response to the client. So this method is capable of throwing IO exception and servlet exception. So we are giving the information to the person, whoever is using, that this method is capable of throwing IO exception and servlet exception. So the next thing that I did is I have created the a printer object, and I have set the printer object content type to be text slash HTML. Okay. So then you can see that I have four string statements over here. So the first one is string username, password, email, and phone. These are the four things according to our lab experiment problem description. It says like you need to take all these four information from the client dynamically and put it in the database table. So username, so all the four are of string type. So I have taken string variables, reference variables, username, password, email, and phone. So this is the request coming from the client. So we will be using RUQ, which is HTTP servlet request object. So then we have a parameter method, which is get parameter. And then inside this get parameter, we are passing username. Username here is the name that we have given to the form element, which is the text field. We said input type is equal to text, and we named it as name is equal to username. So that name we have to take here and pass it as an argument into get parameter. So now what is the functionality of get parameter is that this get parameter will return the value that is entered by the client inside this particular HTML element, which is text. Okay, fine. In the same way, like we are taking the password and putting it in the password reference variable, and then we are taking the email and putting it in the email, and then phone, and we are putting it in the phone. Now, since as I said, like the connection to the database may not happen straight away, sometimes the connection may also fail. So then it will be raising SQL exception. So that's the reason why we are putting it in the try and catch over here. Okay, right. So inside this, we are saying class dot per name. So this is where I am loading my MySQL driver. And the driver that I'm using is the type4 driver, and so which is best driver, and which is also called as the thin driver, wherein it is comparative to the type 1, type 2, and type 3. Type 4 driver is faster. So that's the reason why I have taken the driver and I have loaded it. So this is the loading procedure of the driver. Now this step is not mandatory now after JDBC 4.0. From JDBC 4.0, the drivers are automatically loaded into your Java program from the class path. So you don't require to give this particular statement, but I just gave you because you are students. I want you to know that this statement existed before JDBC 4.0. So now it is not required. Even if you give, it is not going to create any problem. So let it be there. And the next one is I am saying connection con is equal to driver manager dot get connection. So this is where I'm trying to get connection to the database. So what exactly we are trying to do here is our Java application is going to get a connection with the database. So to get the connection, we need to use this connection. So connection, this get connection is a static method that is there in the driver manager class. And this get connection is having three overloaded methods. The first overloaded method is just the URL as an argument. And the second one is URL and the properties. And the third argument is URL and then the username and the password. So here this first argument over here is nothing but the URL to make the connection to the database server. This is the local host is the IP address. So you can see that this JDBC is the protocol which is trying to make connection with MySQL database, and this is the IP address, and then this is the port number, and then the name of the database is user database, and SSL is the secure socket layer wherein I'm setting it to be false. Like you can actually make your connection to be secure, that you can decide by using this particular parameter. And this entire thing is the URL. Okay, so whatever I have typed here as the first argument into get connection method is the URL. Root is the username to get connection to the SQL database. And then this is the password that I have given in MySQL database to get connection to the MySQL database. So I gave that password. And then what I did is I have taken a string queue and I have written the query to actually perform the operation of inserting these four values into the database. We already know that to insert data into, to insert a tuple or to insert a row into the database, MySQL database, we need to use the command which is insert. So what is insert? Insert is a data manipulation command. So insert, update, delete, all these are the data manipulation commands. So we are using this data. So the table will be added. Okay. So as you entered, new tuple will be added. So this is the command. So you might have learned this in your database management system. So wherein, so this is the command, SQL command. So insert into, this is the table name. The table name is user. And these are the columns. Okay. So to what columns you want to insert the data. So I want to insert to the columns username, password, email, and phone, and the values. Okay. So what are the values I need to mention here? But to our surprise over here, you can see I gave a question mark. Why did I give a question mark here? Because I don't know. I want the user to give the data. I want to take the dynamic data. So to take the dynamic data, we call it as the dynamic data, or else we also call it this particular entire statement over here that I have written is also called as parameterized query. Parameterized query means that we don't know the values as of now. We will be knowing it dynamically when the user gives it. Okay, so that is what is meant over here. So for how many columns you want the data, so that many question marks you should be giving separated by comma. Okay, so I hope everybody understood this statement. Now coming to the next statement, which is prepared statement. In my earlier examples, when I was doing the authentication of the user, I have used the statement, but now I have used the prepared statement. Let us try to understand what is this particular prepared statement in detail and then come back to our servlet once again. So let us try to understand the statement, prepared statement, and then callable statement. So statement is the base interface and the prepared statement extends the statement interface. So it's a sub interface of your statement, and callable statement extends the prepared statement interface. Okay, right. And it is used to execute normal SQL queries, whereas prepared statement is used to create parameterized query. I already showed you giving a question marks and all that, which is dynamic query and all that. So it is used to execute stored procedures. No need to pass the parameter to SQL query at the runtime. So, but here you need to pass the parameter to SQL query at runtime. I'll show you that in the servlet. You can pass three types of parameters. The three types of parameters are in, out, and all that. We'll look at callable statements in a separate video. Then it is used when a particular SQL query executes only once. It is used when a particular SQL query executes multiple times. It is used for stored procedures and functions. Then it is used for the DDL statements. Okay, so data definition language like create and all that. So it is used for any SQL query and it is used for stored procedures. Its performance is very low because query will compile every time. But here in the prepared statement, its performance is better than statement because it is pre-compiled. And its performance is better than statement and prepared statement. Okay. So this is so now that you understood what is the prepared statement. So what is the prepared statement? Prepared statement is used to execute your data manipulation commands like insert, update, delete. To do that operations, you will be using the prepared statement. Okay. So now what we need to use is we need to use the prepared statement over here. So I'll show you that now. So you can see I created an object of the prepared statement. So it is a, as I said, it is a sub-interface of a statement and it is used to execute parameterized query. Okay. So I said prepared statement STM is equal to con dot prepared statement. You can see the P over here is smaller. Okay. So because prepared statement here on the right side is nothing but the method. Okay. And as I said, like you need to pass the parameter. So what type of parameter you need to pass into this particular prepared statement is the query. Okay. So what query you want to execute it dynamically, you will be passing it as a parameter. So I passed this queue into this particular prepared statement method. So this particular, so as I pass, and the next thing that I'm doing is I'm actually stm.setString. I am passing the first argument. What is the first argument here in the question mark? Here you can see that the first uh, column is the username. So that's why I said 1 comma username. Username is this username. So the data, the username of the string reference variable, which is consisting of the data. So I said 1 comma username and then I said stm.setString 2 comma password and then 3 comma email and then I said setString 4 comma phone. You can see that there is a method which is called as setString. So this setString method, okay, so is used to set the string value, okay, of a particular column. But say sometimes you may also have other data like integer and then float, double and all that. So do not worry, we also have methods such as set int, set float, set double, etc. So you can also use it over here. But all the columns that I have taken in my table are varchar. So that's the reason why I have used the method which is setString. And then finally, I'm using the method which is called as execute update. Execute update full signature is public void int execute update. So the written type of execute update is integer. And so what is the purpose of this particular statement? The purpose of this particular statement is to execute the query. So at this particular point, we don't know what are the values. So we prepared the statement and then we passed these values dynamically into this particular insert statement. And once all the data is ready, then we are asking the statement to be to execute. So that's why we are saying stm.execute update. Okay, so we are using execute update to execute the query. So now that we already have given the data, we know the data is taken from the user dynamically. So now we are asking it to execute. You can simply say stm.execute update without taking the return type as well. But here I am taking, as I said, like the full signature is public void int execute. So the return type is integer. So I'm taking the return type. Why I'm taking the return is like in case if it executes successfully, if it has updated or added the statement, the tuple successfully to the database, then it will be having value greater than 0. If the value is less than 0, then we say that registration is not successful and all that. So that's why I have taken or I have collected the written value thrown by execute update into an integer variable x. And this system.out.println is for me to actually show the result on the Tomcat command line. Okay. So I just wanted to see in the Tomcat command line that whether the data is successfully updated or not. So that's why I have taken data updated successfully and I'll be showing you what is the value of x over here for you. So then I said if x is greater than 0, then since the registration is complete, I'm asking the user to log in. Okay, so I'm diverting the user now to the login page. So that's why I said response. Okay, so response dot send redirect. So I want to redirect the user login page. I want to redirect the page of the user to the login.html. So that's what I have done here. If x value is not greater than 0, then it means that there is something which didn't work properly. So that's why we are saying register not successful. Okay. So and finally I have closed the connection. So all these have to be in the try because there are chances that at any point of time the connection could fail or some exception could rise. So that's the reason why we have put it in try and catch. And then this is my catch, and this is the statement that I want to execute if there is an exception. So this is my register servlet, friends. Okay. So I hope everybody understood this. Now let us get back to our folder. So what I did is I have opened the command prompt. You know all these things. Okay. So let me actually and take it to the path where this particular register servlet is there. So then copy this. Okay, so bring in over here and then you use your compilation step. Okay, so I'm saying Java C and then what is the name of the Java file, which is register servlet.java. So I'm just using this statement to compile it, and then I just need to compile it. You don't require to execute it because your server will execute it. Okay, so I have used this and I have generated the dot class file. Okay, fine. Now let me show you the complete folder. So this is my week 9 folder. So you can see these are the HTML and the supporting images that I require for my application. So inside the web -inf, I have classes and web.xml. So inside the classes, I have my .java file and the .class file. Even if your .java file is not there, it is not a problem. But mandatorily, you need to have your .class file. So now what I'll do is I'll copy this file. Okay, so copy this entire folder and go to your okay, so into your Tomcat web apps folder. Okay, so I'm taking you to that. So this is my Tomcat and you can see web apps over here. So paste it here. So I already have pasted this. This is my week 9. So I already have pasted it. So to start the web server, I'm going into my bin and I'm clicking on this particular startup. As I do this, you can see that my web server have started. Okay, so this is my web server and my web server have started. So now go to any of the browser. So I'm just taking you to the browser. So in here, so as you type localhost in the port number of your Tomcat, so if you get this particular home page, then it means that your Tomcat is working fine. Then I need to put a slash and give the week folder name. So which is week 9. So I'm just putting this. So you can see that my application home page or the welcome file have been launched. So now I'm not going to show you all the other things. What is required, we'll see. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the registration form and you can see that here you can see that all the fields. I'll show you first if I do not give any fields and if I try to click on the submit button. So you can see that it is prompting me, please fill out this field. Why this is showing me this is because I have put required inside my field. Okay, so when I have written my form field, I have put required. So that's why it is telling me that it is mandatory. So let us try to give some data. So I'll be inserting the name of the person is Shika and then give some password. I'm saying 4567 and then so let us give some email ID. I'm saying shika@gmail.com and then the phone number. Okay, so you can give some phone number. So I haven't added any validations. Okay, so if you want, you can add your validations and all that. So I'm saying female and these fields are not required. So even if you don't give it, it is not going to show you anything. Okay, so then I'm going to check on the languages known and then the address. Okay. So then I'll be clicking on the submit button. Before clicking on the submit button, let me show you whether Shika is already there in the table or not. So Shika is not there, right? So let me show you that and then we'll proceed. So what's the name of the database, which is user DB. So now I am saying select star from what is the name of the table, which is user. So you can see there is no Shika. You can see Kittu, Sinu, Sudha, Tim, but there is no Shika over here in the table. We'll come back over here after registration, and I'll show you once again the table, and you can see that the Shika will be added into that. Okay, so I have given the address. Say for example, I forgot to give the password. I have given the username, email, and then the phone number, but I forgot to give the password. So it will say fill out this field, because for all these four, I have given it as required. So give some password. I'm saying 5456 and all that. So then now I'm clicking on the submit button. As I click on the submit button, you can see that it is diverting me to the login form. Okay, right. So this is what I have written in the program, but we need a confirmation that whether really the tuple have been added or not. First, I will show you the Tomcat. Okay, so Tomcat terminal. So you can see the thing I have written in my system.out.println. What did I write? I said data updated successfully, and then X I have written. So you can see X, which is 1. So for every query, it will not, so there is one updation, right? So one row has been added. So that's the reason you can see 1 over here. Okay, fine. Because I have added only one row, it will return the number of rows that you have inserted. So if you insert 2 or 3, then this will become 2, 3, and so on. Okay, so this is what is there in your Tomcat. So you can actually debug your program to know like whether it is working fine or not in your Tomcat like this, wherein I have written system.out.println. System.out.println is a stream which will write onto your monitor. Okay, so not onto your browser, because your browser cannot understand this. Your browser can understand only HTML. So to debug, I'm using this system.out.println. Okay, fine. So this is your Tomcat. Now let me take you to the MySQL command line client. So this is MySQL command line client. So let me actually do the select star from users once again. Okay. So I said select star from users, and let us see whether it is updated or not. So you can see, friends, that a Shika is added, and you can see the password I have given 5456, and the email ID that I have given, and then the phone number that I have given. All these have entered into your database. Okay, and so that's it, friends. So this is how you actually make manipulations into your database by using your servlet. I hope this video is helpful to you. Thank you for watching.